and thank you so much for joining us for our ROH post show for Thursday, August 29th. We appreciate you being here. We love hanging out with you on Thursdays. We love having SP3, who is... Are you in a steam room somewhere? I see pipes this time in your...
Yeah, I moved. I've adjusted because I have a little bit more space in here now.
Oh,
But
fire.
yeah, it's a little roomier. I'm sitting on my all-in third row chair. So it's a whole new setup. But yes, I have the pipes in the view. But don't
I
worry, I'll
I
be
love
okay.
it.
It won't be bursting.
I love that you got to go to All In. I love that you got a little more space, a little more breathing room. We got a little more breathing room in this ROH product. So get in those super chats if there's anything that you want to talk about tonight before we dive in, because people are always still filtering in at the top of the show. I've always realized, I think because it starts at 9 o'clock, that sometimes people pick up a little bit later, but let's take a couple minutes to talk about All In. You were there at one of the greatest pay-per-views I think AEW's put on. One of the greatest pay-per-views I think, regardless of brand, that I've ever seen, with one of the most incredible moments at the end of it. I lost my mind somewhere in the middle of this show, as I'm sure, I would hope you thought about me, your dear co-host, at least once when Nigel McGuinness and Zack Sabre Jr. were in the ring at the same time. But how was the live experience? What was it like being there? How are you feeling coming out of it?
I told you before we went live here, I think it was the best stadium show I've ever been to. As far as like AEW pay-per-views, I think it's right up there because I think I've seen three of the best. I think the best they've ever done is All Out 2021, but
Yep.
2 through 4, I think I was live for. I went to Full Gear 2021 with Hangman beating Kenny Omega in Minnesota.
Another
I've been
phenomenal pay-per-view that had Darby and MJF opening too, I think.
Yeah,
One of my
yes.
favorite Darby match I think I've ever seen, but one of my favorites, like in general, Eddie and Punk, that was incredible.
Yeah. I think that show had one of my like favorite cards in that it had just
Yes.
multiple matches worth
Miro
remembering.
Danielson, like, yeah, that card ran
Chris,
deep.
Christian, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus versus Super Click. That was a great
Oh my
matchup
gosh,
as
that's
well.
right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
forgot
so
about that.
multiple matches on that one. Lucha Bros and FTR was also on that one as well. I went to Revolution earlier this year with Sting's final match, which I think is up there at the best AEW pay-per-views of all time as well, with Osprey and Takeshita being
Sure.
one of my favorite. At the time in March, I said Osprey and Takeshita was probably the best match I ever seen live, and
Okay.
then I was there on Sunday, and that completely got changed because Bryan Danielson versus Swerve Strickland is a religious experience seeing it live, especially where I was in the third row. People on social media, as well as our good friend Jeremy Lambert, said I was in the Bryan Danielson family section because I was right behind Bree, Birdie, and Buddy. And I was literally like at times living vicariously through Buddy Danielson, who was the most hyped person watching his dad perform that I think I've ever seen in my life. He's like banging the barricade like he's at a 2000s Ring of Honor event. He's like getting hyped he's almost trying to jump over the barricade to the point Bree's like calm down. But then other times Bree's just watching on and just smiling, seeing how much he's getting into it. I was there right behind them as Swerve came over and pulled bloody dada over and stomped him in the face and then told Birdie, I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for you. And legitimately, Kate, everyone watching, they had to console Birdie for a good 10 minutes.
I'm
A good 10 minutes.
sure. I'm sure. Knowing Daniel said, he was probably like, we're just going to have to traumatize them. We can't. If we warn them about it, it'll take their reactions out of it. He's that much of a sicko, I think. But very
He
glad.
does it for the business.
He does it for the business. It's true. And God bless Bree for hanging in there with all that. But my gosh, condolences to that whole family actually today as well, with the news that unfortunately dropped about Nikki. We hope that they are okay. But we're not here to talk about All In. We kind of are a little bit because it was that good.
Just a little bit. Because
it.
Nigel McGuinness came back, and if there was a roof on Wembley Stadium, I would have not only just popped off and blew off with the pop that he got, I would have went through I almost went through the stadium opening because I jumped out of my seat. I was trying to record it at the same time, but I couldn't control myself. I felt like I was back in the 2000s Ring of Honor.
Dude.
Oh my God.
I love pops that have the double pop of the Titantron hits and the music hits, and then the person comes out, and I had one of those where it was like that second wave. That was so great. And then when Zach came out, I had like the triple reaction of like, oh my God, Zach's in this. Is amazing. And then I had the moment of like, holy shit, him and Nigel are going to be in the ring at the same time. And I got super emotional. And then I was so blown away by that match because everything with Zach and it made wrestling sense of like, they were chasing Danielson. He had the history with Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, Okada, obviously. I was like, oh, this is like extremely well done just from even the in-ring storytelling part. Like, brilliant stuff. But we are going to dive into this episode of Ring of Honor. I see more of you are here, so that's why we wait to hit you with the plugs. Sorry, you're going to get the laundry list of things we ask you to do now, but we do ask you to please leave a thumbs up on this video. Of all post shows, this one is the one that we need it the most. We need the most algorithm help the most, so please leave that thumbs up. Drop a comment to let us know how you're feeling about the new Ring of Honor, and of course, subscribe not only to this channel, we're at 115,000 strong, I think, but to FightfulSelect.com, just to switch it up. Sean posted some contract news. Hasn't been a lot of that this year at all. Humberto Carrillo earlier this week, Nikki Cross today. So much stuff going on. That Warner deal is coming down the line. There were so many scoops for All In. I imagine there will be more at Bash in Berlin this weekend as well. So please support. That's how we get paid. That's how we function here at Fightful. That's our lifeblood. So Mama's got to get paid. So get over there and subscribe. All right. We do appreciate it sincerely. Sincerely. You guys are incredible to us. But speaking of incredible, bro, our forever champion, man. I don't even know what we say about Athena anymore. In this Proving Ground match with Aleah James, I still maintain the criticism that people in the locker room should be wanting title shots. And they should be wanting routes to title shots. Your women's roster should be trying to compete for the title and therefore getting Proving Ground matches as opposed to enhancement talent or dependent talent. No offense to Aleah James. I'm going to talk about how great she looked in just a minute because this was one of the longer ones, so I appreciate that for sure. I feel like a broken record of saying that, but it is a logic flaw I feel the need to point out every time because Rachael Ellering's like, I'll mess around with Harley Cameron instead of going after the title. I don't think so. I don't buy that from my Rachael L Ring of Honor here, but the match itself was fantastic. You have so much fun happening, and here you get our forever champion winning with the crossface, which was a little bit different for her. But a really nice flying crossbody and Aleah James from this that kind of like caught Athena's attention. I thought was a cute spot. It was like she has such a commanding presence that she sometimes gives her opponents these openings for her to be like, okay, fine, you're gonna come at me like that. I love those moments with Athena, and we got that one here. But some good stuff in our match. What did you think of our opener, SP3?
I thought it was a fine way to kick off the show. I love Athena in these Proving Ground matches where she doesn't give her opponent too much, but she gives them just enough. Where Aleah James got to kind of showcase her abilities here. I like that little spot with the flying cross body. And I like the fact that Athena, you could tell Athena was kind of taken off guard by how much offense Aleah James was able to get on her, by how long she held on to the crossface at the end. She wanted to make sure that she hurt her just a bit, despite her getting the tap out victory. And Aleah James felt those chops because you could see the bruises on her chest by the end of the matchup. So I like this opening matchup here. I like the post match as well with Abaddon and further development in the Minion saga. We are now calling it a saga. It is now a saga legitimately. And the fact that Billy gets no credit for anything. Billy cuts off Abaddon with the ROH Women's World Championship, hitting her with it as Athena was getting chased around the ring. But Athena was so scared of Abaddon, she missed Billy giving her the assist. And Billy, stupidly, I'm gonna call her out for being stupid. Why did you drop the title? You gotta have the proof that you were the one. She just drops the title. But Abaddon could have woke up and grabbed the title, but thankfully Lexi grabbed the title, being the responsible minion that she is. So she got all the credit for what Billy did. And I love Lexi. She's just happy. She's just happy. She didn't even try to be like, no, it was Billy. No, she's just gonna take the credit and then make sure that Billy is celebrating with them at the end of it. So, and I love Athena being like, give Lexi her credit. And Billy's like, it was me.
And like so innocently. Yeah, that post match was so much fun. So Abaddon does come out. I don't want to give credit for things that people should be doing all the time, but the they them pronouns are still something that is new to commentary, and Ian and Caprice just they're here, like without any discomfort around it. We're gonna talk about them a lot tonight, especially in that pure match, because my God, do they add a lot to this show. But Abaddon arrives. Really, really fun stuff. Seems like maybe we are heating her up for spooky time of year. I'm not too mad about it. I just don't want Abaddon to be pigeonholed into spooky time of year, but some good stuff here. And to your point, the post-match that unfolds with, we'll call it the Minion Saga. You got the Iliad, the Odyssey, and you've got the Minion Saga here. Very, very fun with Athena, and to your point, Lexi just proudly taking credit for cutting off the pain at the source, if it were, and Billy Starks just, what the heck, man? It was me who did it. Like, so great. So innocent. So much fun. Really, really good stuff to get our show kicked off. And as we're still kicking off our show 10 minutes into it, we were talking about All In at the beginning of this, but we're seeing more people tune in. Thank you so much for doing so. Please drop a thumbs up on this. Touch tips in the chat. They weren't on the show tonight, but that when I say that's been following me everywhere, I mean it happened on my Mark Order post show yesterday, which is not even on this channel. It follows me to my SmackDown post show. It's everybody's touching tips out here. We love that. We love that.
Tip touchers unite.
It's true. Tip touchers forever. But we move on to Johnny TV and Sidney Akeem's ROH debut. Sidney Akeem, the former Scripps, the former sommelier to Carmella. Very cool. Very cool to see the in-ring debut of Sidney Akeem. And get to see Sidney Akeem and not Sidney Akeem under a mask. Sidney Akeem as Carmella's sidekick. Like, just getting to see wrestlers as themselves is something that is refreshing in general, but I feel like is the most common in ROH too, just by the nature of the product. So he did great in this, but this was to set up the win for Johnny TV. The most notable spot in this, that Starship Pain that nobody was home for, and Johnny just landing on his freaking head. Oh my God. I don't know if it was because Ishii was on this episode as well. Like, I don't know why everybody's landing straight up on their heads, but obviously we have the Cirque du Soleil background of Sidney Akeem. We have the parkour background of Johnny TV. This made sense as a first match. And I gotta say, Johnny TV, from an in-ring standpoint, it's so funny that it starts here. But like, that Johnny Drip stuff in WWE was objectively bad. It was dumb. It was stupid. But in-ring wise, it was like he had found his way to ground a lot of the incredible stuff he can do in very logical ways. And seeing that pay off, like now, with how he's able to kind of guide people through matches a little bit is cool. It's like that chain of command is kind of passed on a little bit. And I love to see that. But good for Sidney Akeem, kind of relaunching his post-WWE side of his career. Glad he got a good showing here. Glad he's still at it. You like to see people get to continue on with their dreams after unfortunate kind of stuff happens. So happy about that. What did you think of what we got here?
Huda man, Sydney's unite. From one Sydney to another. Love seeing Sidney Akeem here. It's a great week for Sydney's. R.I.P. Another Sydney's. Psycho Sydney.
Yeah.
Sydney Vicious. So yes, us Sids need to stick together. But Sidney Akeem, I think he's been very impressive since leaving WWE. I don't know if a lot of people has been catching his work in Game Changer Wrestling, where he was on a bit of a winning streak. He's had, some really good matches, whether it be against Gringo Loco. I know at Homecoming, he had a matchup with Tony Deppen, so connecting that Ring of Honor-ness, getting him ready for this matchup here. And I like that they put him in there with Johnny TV, like you said, who he has the Circus Olay background. Johnny TV has the parkour background. And I think that, we would be talking more about the match if it wasn't for that Starship Pain where he lands directly on his head. And I know that wasn't on purpose. Like Ishii on Dynamite with one of the greatest DDTs I think I've ever seen, because he just stood on his head afterwards. But this was not done purposely. Hopefully Johnny TV is all right after that, because he's not the young whippersnapper that he was when he got named Johnny Nitro all those years ago. He's had a couple of years under his belt, so hopefully he's all right coming out of that. But him picking up the win here makes sense. He is more of the mainstay here in Ring of Honor, but it was a good showing for Sidney Akeem, and I wouldn't mind him, having more appearances in Ring of Honor, because it's when you get guys like that who were in WWE developmental, kind of like EJ Nduka, who we're going to talk about later, them being in Ring of Honor is a natural transition where they could still get their reps. They're still learning on the fly here, but you could see the development for them. So I wouldn't mind Sidney Akeem become a regular over here, because he has just natural athletic ability, especially when he's able to kind of get the win and you see his finisher, that double backflip cutter that he does. It's just ridiculous to watch every single time he hits it. But I like, Johnny TV getting the victory here. It says he's a guy that you can easily heat up to get a TV title matchup, or even if you want to dabble and see if he gets into the pure division. I wouldn't mind seeing someone like Johnny TV even dabble, bring some of that charisma and character work into the pure division.
I'm not mad about that. I'm not mad about that at all. And look, when you mentioned EJ, and we're going to talk about him in a little bit, I know there's like a cliche thing of like, how could you miss on that guy? And it goes in every direction. Like of, how did AEW miss on Ethan Page? Like, I'll never know. How did WWE miss on the people that have come over here? And like, you could have made the argument with Miro forever ago. Obviously with Swerve, things like that. EJ is one that I'm like, okay, but like how? Because look at the dude. like how? How do you miss a guy that looks like that moves like that acts like that's 6'7", 6'8"? Like, my God, we're going to talk about that in a second, but we've got more to go through. Guys, get in those super chats if there's anything you want to talk about. If you want to ask SP3 what it was like to be a part of the Garcia Danielson family for a night. My goodness, it was like next to Brie. I love what you said about his son, though, because obviously he was a show stealer with the confetti, but like he's gonna look up in a few years and be like, what was my dad doing? That was insane. Like, he's gonna look back at him like slamming against the barricade and being so excited and just be so like, oh my God, that guy tried to murder my dad. My dad kind of tried to murder him. Did you see the ring bell situation? Like, he's going to have a lot of thoughts, but so much fun. What an incredible, incredible, incredible pay-per-view and main event that you got to be at. And I am not at all jealous. So,
not at all. Not at all.
Not even a little, but we get Lance Archer and Ozzy. Didn't have a lot to tell. Didn't have a lot to tell in this match. Lance Archer winning with the blackout here. This was one of the squashiest squashes that ever squashed. But I will say, like, Lance Archer's great. I've had this conversation with you before. AEW ROH. Lance Archer's great. Like, he should be doing more than squashing people and losing matches adjacent of title belts. Like, he should be doing something that's very cool. because he's great. And I like him with the Righteous. I hope that's going somewhere. After these tapings, we have ambiguity around our trios and tag divisions again, so we'll find out. And I did notice Vincent and Dutch kind of hyping up Jon Moxley yesterday on Twitter. So he's got something ambiguous going on. I wonder if it's something that we can dig, or if they were just tweeting Dynamite. It's very possible, but
Could be.
Time will tell.
Either way. I wouldn't mind the Righteous and Lance Archer feuding with the conglomeration and finally pay off on another manifestation of me and Kate of Lance Archer going for the Ring of Honor World Championship against Mark Briscoe. You got time. We got a bazillion months away from Final Battle because I don't do pay-per-views between July and December for some reason. But you got a billion of these to go. So I'm willing to wait. I want to see what happens, but Lance Archer should be in the heavyweight championship scene, regardless of wherever he's wrestling, but especially in a Ring of Honor.
I agree with you, SP3. Give us more Lance Archer and things that make sense. And stories. Let him tell some stories, but we have made a lot of progress, and I don't want to fixate on the negative, but just give me everything I want. Is that so hard to ask? Like, come on.
Hey, I will give Ring of Honor credit this week because when I saw the lineup, I was like, this is feeling more like Ring of Honor being taped before Collision than what we were getting, 3 weeks ago, or when we were raving about how it was like a whole bunch of stories. The last 2 weeks have felt more akin to Ring of Honor of Dark. I'm hoping that it was just an outlier. This episode was better than I expected, better than how it looked on paper, but I don't want it to lean in that direction of the dark tapings again.
We're watching.
Yes.
We're watching, and we're holding you accountable, people. Let's move on to our Rev Pro Undisputed British Women's Champion, Mina Shirakawa, versus Rachael Ellering in what I thought was a super fun match. These two had incredible chemistry. SP3 is joining AZM over there.
It's the theme song from Fast Five, basically, guys. That's
pretty much is. It pretty much is. Here's the thing, though, SP3. I don't know if you know this, but like, if you're gonna be in that faction, you would have to kiss Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May, and that sounds terrible. Like, I can't imagine anybody, especially a straight male, wanting to kiss either one of them. Like, that just Mariah May and Mina Shirakawa. Like, that sounds like a rough.
I am a straight male, but I am a happily taken man by an Italian woman from Brooklyn. So if I ever would do something like that, I probably would be showing up with like less than 5 fingers on this hand, and my lips would be cut off. So okay, I'll live. Yeah, I'll just stick with the dancing.
This was a blast. This match made me want to dance just like that. But Mina Shirakawa getting Ellering on her back for the win here after a really, really fun sequence of Ellering hitting that pendulum slam out of a fisherwoman's suplex, doing a lot of damage to Shirakawa's shoulder that was targeted for a lot of this match. But you get her climbing the top rope, hitting the splash on Ellering at the end of this. This was super, super fun. There was that crab hold, but Shirakawa pulling her over onto her back for the win. I felt like their chemistry was fantastic. Like, I really liked a lot of what we got in here. This was just women's wrestling. Like, this was so much fun. And after, not a lot of time to celebrate because Taya Valkyrie appears. And she tosses Ellering out of the ring to beat up Mina, leaving her in the ring suffering in pain. Very fun to continue these stories. Taya is someone I'm glad they keep putting out there because I feel like she's found her footing so well in ROH. Like, we've talked about it week over week, how great she's looked. In-ring wise, this character iteration, her charisma, she just looks good just because she looks good. You know what I mean? But she's been so fantastic and really, really seems to have found her place here. She hasn't been in the title picture, but like I'm glad that she's continuing to be used in stories because I think she's adding so much value to this women's division. And like her versus Mina sounds super fun. Like sign me up for that match too. But Rachael looking great in defeat here. I loved what we got out of this. I thought this was so fun. What did you think?
This is one of my favorite matches of the night. I've been a big Mina Shirakawa fan since our whole story in Stardom, where she really came in, and I think it's Meerkat is a YouTuber that covers a lot of Stardom, and that's where I got like my familiarity with Mina Shirakawa from the begin with. And literally every story that she was in, it was about her boobas. Her boobas was the central character until Saya Kamatani broke her face, giving her the Phoenix Splash and splitting her face open, and she went out for a while. And then when she came back, she became this like great technical wrestler who would just break down the leg and kind of like a female Hiroshi Tanahashi with the dragon screws and the focus on the leg work of building up for either the glamorous driver or a figure four leg lock. So I've been enjoying the maturation of Mina Shirakawa ever since then. And one of my favorite moments of last year was her finally winning the Wonder of Stardom Championship from Saya Kamatani at All-Star Grand Queendom last year. But loving her in Ring of Honor and AEW. Love the program with Timeless Toni Storm and Mariah May. But this match here was just hard-hitting, physical action, and I knew it would be good because we saw these two ladies sitting with each other. They actually seem like they're friends, sitting with each other in the seats at Wembley Stadium during the Timeless Toni Storm versus Mariah May matchup, which is not getting enough credit for one of the best AEW Women's World Title matches ever on a pay-per-view. Just the storytelling, the emotion, the drama that was there, and Mina kind of gave us a little TV sampling of that type of work because she's so in tune with her character. She knows how to work matches, whether it be, doing a big splash off the top off the top rope, working over the leg. I just loved her working with Rachael Ellering, and I thought it was one of Rachael Ellering's best matches on TV. And that little roll up where she just catches them on the leg, it just looks so pretty every time she does it to get these victories. And our current Rev Pro undisputed British women's champion, so a champion of all champions, and I believe, I'm going to call it right now, predict it right now, tomorrow night, Capital Collision, I think Mina Shirakawa is coming out to challenge Mercedes Moné to be the next challenger for the NJPW Strong Women's Championship.
Would not be mad about that for so many reasons, but largely because I'll be there. So I would love to see that, but this was hysterical from Pile Driver Finisher saying, Mark Briscoe Jones over here with made up words by SV3. So good. So funny. You guys are the best. Guys, get in those super chats if there's anything that you want to talk about tonight. I loved this match. I love the angle that we're getting after, and I also love this backstage we get with Harley Cameron.
Oh, the women were center stage. It felt like old Ring of Honor, where all the stories were about the women. You had Abaddon and Athena. Sure. You had the post match with Taya and Mina, and then you're about to talk about this one here.
Yeah, and last week we were like, this was light on women, and then they came back hitting this week. This was another one that was out of Dallas, so this was probably just a matter of the taping schedule and how things were edited together, but I was in stitches at Rachael Ellering getting interviewed by Minion in Training Extraordinaire, Lexi, but she's interrupted by Harley Cameron after Rachael Ellering is a very natural baby face in that she seems very authentic and makes you want to root for her very easily. Of just like, I love when people just say, yeah, it was a hell of a match. I lost. I got to get better. Like, I love when people are just, it just wasn't my night. I had an incredible opponent and I just need to get better. It's such like a refreshing and natural thing and human thing to hear, which I loved out of her. But Harley Cameron interrupts and she is looking for ROH, and Rachael Ellering points to the flag of the microphone that Lexi Nair has, and Harley's like, oh, excellent, I'm here. And She's looking for Rachael Ellering, who has an RE on her. And she says it's nice to meet her. And Rachael Ellering says it's like deja vu all over again. They've met before. To which Harley Cameron says, no, I don't like mustard.
So nice to meet you, Ree.
Nice to meet you, Ree. I had made the comparison last week that Harley Cameron could be like your Carmella kind of place in the division, or the void that Bunny left, like could kind of step up into that role. Today, I was like, it kind of gave me Chelsea Green vibes of like just the seconds that she's on screen, it's maximized. We also had that promo with Saraya where her hand was just up and she was like, technical wrestling, like absolutely hysterical. Just one of those people that just maximizing every second she's on screen for. You love to see that, and that's something very valuable to have in any wrestling promotion. So some really good stuff, and that anything you want to comment on, I was just in stitches at that whole segment.
My favorite part is when I think Rachel Ellery corrected her on something, and she was like, it was no words.
Exasperated, yeah.
Just purely exasperated, and then she grabs Lexi by the hair. Is like, are we just hiring anybody now? Oh my God, I was like, this woman is so entertaining. I was like, I said it earlier today on our AEW review, talking about her matchup with Jamie Hayter. I was like, I expect Harley Cameron when she's wrestling I think that when you're so early in your career, you expect them to be a little bit green, but she's a lot less greener than I thought she would be with only 20 or so matches that she has. But yes, you can see why she is hired whenever she has a talking segment, whenever she's able to display her character. She just has charisma out the yin yang. It's ridiculous amounts of charisma, and she knows how to play her character well. And I like the fact that they have paired her up with someone like Rachael Ellering, where Harley Cameron is such an oblivious douchebag heel. Well, Rachael Ellering is like the nicest person around. So they play off each other very, very well.
I think Harley Cameron is an absolute hoot, and I think down the line she could also make a really good face. Like, I think if she wants to be someone that we can get behind, she could make that happen for us. Like, I really think that there's a baby face in there that we could empathize with, because I feel as though heels of this type and faces just aren't that far away from each other.
This is true.
So some good stuff here. Well, I was very happy to see LSG and the Ace of Space Academy back in ROH against Top Flight and Action Andretti. It was fun having clarity while it lasted, whether we had a tag team in a trios division or not, but this was a very fun match with a pretty obvious ending here. You were going to have Top Flight hitting that triple team to knock GKM out and get the pin. I've long been a proponent of LSG. I think he's very underrated, and early in this match, you had him and Action Andretti kicking things off, and watching them work, I was just like, I maintain my stance that LSG is very underrated, because they just, even in exchanging waist locks, all of his facial expressions, and there's not stories when you're being used kind of as an enhancement talent like this, but he very quickly can make one, and even in these brief exchanges, everything looks great from an in-ring standpoint. His footwork is some of the best, I think, in wrestling, but today it was just you could see it translate on his face, early in this with Action Andretti, okay, how am I approaching this guy? I would like to see more of that from Action Andretti, to be perfectly honest. I need to see that next layer from Action Andretti, because I'm sold on the athleticism and what he can do in the ring. I am not yet sold on his in-ring storytelling, because I think there's still a ways to go there, and this is the place that we need to see that kind of step up, but this was really good. GKM, also a fantastic talent here out of the Northeast. I've gotten to see all of these guys quite a bit. And we also had Colton Charles in there from Ace of Space Academy. So a fun trios match. This was a short-lived one, but I liked what we got here. I just want to know, are they a trio or are they a tag team? I ask this on a weekly basis, I feel like. Help me out, SP3. What do we got?
I'm gonna say that they're better off as a tag team because I feel like Top Flight should be in the mix in the AEW World Tag Team division, but they should definitely already be Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions instead of who we have as Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. But I will say the good news of this matchup here is no stripper flight attendant gear.
Yay!
They had on regular wrestling gear. Congratulations, Top Flight. I guess they heard us talking about how stupid those outfits were. Hopefully they're listening. I think we're on a good path because y'all weren't wearing the stupid flight attendant gear at All In Wembley Stadium. Y'all didn't wear it here, so I'm gonna
Might have
hold
just
out
been
hope.
for that MXM match. Like that might have been to try and meet the maximum male models where they were at fashion wise, and they just failed. Like sometimes you take a risk and it doesn't pay off. You know.
This is true. So I'm hoping that was the case. I'm hoping. Please.
My God.
Let's all bring it together. All bring it together. Let's have a prayer circle with our tips.
That's
Our
what we
tip
do.
circle. Let's
Kevin
have
Blackwood tweeted that he gave an MXM tramp stamp tattoo.
legend.
Kevin Blackwood is someone that should be kicking around ROH. Would not mind seeing him in that pure division. He's outstanding. He's had quietly kind of one of the best indie years in wrestling, like Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, Mustafa Ali. Like he's really good. Like they should have him around. But I'll tell you who didn't get to stick around very long, and that was Demo Diamond against EJ and Duca. This was another squash. But man, what a fantastic talent they have in EJ and Duca. I'm very, very happy to see him continuing to work ROH. Very happy that he's around this product. And just Uzo's superstar here. He's 2-0. He gets big cheers from the family at ringside. Diamond, not a small dude either, which was good. It's like nice to see someone kind of closer to his side, but those hammer strikes on Diamond I thought were really fantastic, but you get kind of a little cockiness with the standing cover from EJ here. The birthday boy this week, happy birthday to him. But
Yes.
this was quick, but it was fun, and I don't mind squashes when they're like building a guy up for something. I don't know what they're building EJ up for, but it feels like he's a prioritized talent. So if they're going to have quick matches, I would hope it would be to do something like this, establishing, because I'm not the biggest squash gal.
I'm okay with squashes if it either is leading to them getting in some type of title picture or them gearing up to get a role on AEW television. And that's why a lot of times when we were talking in the past about the Marina Shafir squashes, I think we were both on board with that because we could see her going up to the women's TV title division or women's world championship. But instead, those squash matches have led to her getting a role on AEW television alongside Jon Moxley. So congratulations to her for seemingly getting a call up from
He's been
ROH.
wanting that for a long time, and she looked fantastic yesterday. So yes, for sure.
She did. And I feel like EJ Induka is more on that side. Is more of like a male Marina Shafir where you can easily see him getting some type of role as a muscle for a mainline star on AEW television. I don't necessarily think these squashes are going to lead to him getting a shot at Mark Briscoe for the Ring of Honor World Championship or being possibly the next person to become Ring of Honor TV champion. Easily, I can also see that. But
Yes.
I think that his look is just ready-made to be on mainline AEW television. You just have to find the right role for him. He has such a domineering presence to him, and it's very akin to Obafemi over on NXT, where he's just dominant.
Yeah.
He's just dominant. He has this presence. When you look at him, you instantly say, okay, that's a star. And how did WWE miss on this guy? And you say, Tony Khan, you better not miss on this guy because this guy has something that no one else on your roster has. He just immediately looks like a guy that should be in the main event scene, should be associated with bigger stars or feuding with bigger stars. So I'm hoping the best for EJ and Duca because there's not a lot of guys like that on AEW or ROH.
So let me throw this at you, first of all. We saw in wrestling news, the Hurt Syndicate got trademarked. Now, I don't know if they are coming to AEW. I have no idea. I do know that there was a report that MVP punched Chris Jericho on his own boat. So I don't know if MVP wants to come into the ROH AEW picture if he's knocking out one of the dudes on his own boat who is a pretty big part of what's going on in AEW. But EJ and Duca kind of in a picture like that, or an act that was that cool, could be something that's very, very fun. So we'll see what's in store. But it certainly feels like we have something that can't miss. But you know what, SP3? If maybe your own matches aren't lasting long enough, if you're not exactly standing at 6'8", you know what I mean? BlueChew.com, code FIGHTFUL.
My friends, you know we always care about your performance at Fightful. And we want to keep that performance at a main event level. And you can with Blue Chew and the code FIGHTFUL. The same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in a much more affordable option. Blue Chew is ready whenever you are, or whenever you're not. Helps give you that extra motivation. That way you can make sure that your performance is at a championship level. You go online to BlueChew.com, and when approved by our online physicians, you get that confidence. You get that performance. And you get it shipped straight to your door. No awkward conversations with the doctor, no waiting in line at the pharmacy, all of that stuff. You use that code FIGHTFUL, get your first shipment free. That's how confident that they are that they're going to make you confident. What do you have to lose? BlueChew.com and the code FIGHTFUL.
I got to do a Blue Chew ad on our show today, and I knew the perfect segue would come. My apologies to EJ and Duca for having to be the catalyst for it. But sometimes, if something gets teed up, you gotta knock it out of the park, which is what we're doing here on the ROH Post Show. But we've got TNA talk coming on the back of this show with Joel and Cresta, so stay tuned for that. Nick Nemeth defending his title. So much cooking on TNA, but we've got more ROH to talk about, so get in those super chats if there's anything you want to discuss. We'll also take this moment to remind you to leave a thumbs up, because triple the amount that we're watching at the beginning of the show are watching now. So we do ask that you leave a thumbs up on this video. We also ask that you subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. There was a report a few weeks back that there was a renewed focus on this brand. It certainly seems like there's at least some sustained efforts that continue to indicate that that was true. Lots of reports going on there. A lot of British wrestling posts from Corey Brennan, who's our NXT and European wrestling scoopster over there. So much happening at Fightful Select. More and more contract news. Keep an eye out, because I'm not talking about Becky Lynch, but there are some big contracts that are still waiting in the wings. I know that there's a lot of information circulating right now. Get the most accurate information you can directly from the source. Subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. Everyone's touching tips in the chat. Love to see it. Leave a thumbs up. Leave a tip touch as we work our way through ROH. But this was a fun episode. As we're going back and talking about it, I was like, there was some good stuff here. Here. So, Evil Uno and Jacoby Watts locking up here. We did find out unfortunate news about Nick Comoroto, that he is injured, and not like, oh, what a cute little injury someone has. Like, for reals, he's injured, has been wrestling on a rough one for a very long time, it sounds like. So kudos for him for being a tough son of a bitch, but also kudos to him for putting his health first. He's going to come back bigger and stronger than ever. This guy has a lot of personality. He has all the components to be a great wrestler. I'm firmly believe that as long as his recovery goes right, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with at some time soon. But keeping Jacoby Watts in the picture here. Justice for Uno, as we saw him being the Dark Order. This poor guy getting slapped around on this show, getting slapped around by Hangman, doesn't enter the casino gauntlet because his number never comes up. My God, but he gets the win here with a pile driver. Some some good stuff too. That pile driver proceeded with that big boots and DDT. This was fun. This was hard hitting. And I'm just glad to see Uno in the ring. The commentary team doing a good job here of saying it was so nice to see him like in singles action, because you get to see a different side of him than when he's kind of in those trios matches with Reynolds and Silver, or in tag team matches himself. You get a bigger sample of what Uno can do, and it was a good one here. Not the most integral match to the show, because I don't know if this is leading to a full story, but we saw some good stuff from here, and Watts continues to be an interesting little character. He's a little shifty. I don't know what this guy's up to, and I don't know if I liked it. But I respect people that think they're cult leaders, because, like, that takes a lot of confidence. What did you think?
I mean, he reminds me of the bunch of guys that would wear or that hold Bibles on like 125th and give you like the word of God on the corner of 125th and like 7th Avenue. But Jacoby Watts, yeah, that's all I got for him. But Evil Uno, I like seeing him in singles action, seeing him on his own here. I was kind of surprised that he got the win, despite him going against Jacoby Watts, which I should have just assumed that, yeah, he's going to get the win. But I'm not used to seeing Evil Uno get the win. But justice for Evil Uno, number 13 in the Casino Gauntlet, but number 1 in our hearts. And he got the victory here. And the Dark Order, though, confused me, because it feels like usually they're heels, and they have been heels for the last couple of weeks, especially with their rivalry with Dustin Rhodes, Sammy Guevara, and the Von Erichs. And then they were basically baby faces here, which I think might be the best thing for them long term, because I don't really see them as heels. I think they're better as baby faces, but it is confusing when it goes from week to week like that.
Yeah, this felt largely like that story got interrupted by Cabrera's injury. Like this, and they didn't want to, like, I don't know what the pivot is going to look like for Jacoby Watts, because he seems like someone that you bring in to play a very specific role of a story like this. And then all of a sudden you have to change plans and things look different. So we'll definitely give him time to work that out for sure. But I'm with you. Like they should pick a plan and stick to it with the old Dark Order, because they're great. And I'm a firm believer into leaning into like people's personalities, and it feels like John Silver's out here singing Creed, and he was doing those like movie reenactments and chose Anchorman as a scene to do. Like, lean into that. Lean into that with these guys. But I get it. Like, you want to be able to get people different sides to show. So we'll move on here to Josh Woods of the Premier Athletes. And I got to tell you, this Mark Sterling, there needs to be an ROH fact checker. Ian Riccaboni, I'm challenging you to start checking a little bit harder, because Mark Sterling's like, we're out here. We had the best rivalry of all time under the AEW ROH umbrella. I've got some opinions and some questions of my own with Mark Sterling, but hey, how many times on this show and in my life have I been asking for Josh Woods to be in action on ROH television, AEW television? Put him on MLW. I'll start reviewing that. Like, give me Josh Woods, man. And I'm not the only one that thinks that, because we got this super chat from Shea Monster that says, TMD Kate, SP3 Little Birds pitched my doorstep. What's the girl, put your record on? Isn't that song? Lay your head down. I think that's the first
Oh, go get him. All right, I hear you.
Thank you. I think that's the first lyric to that song. But all right, is Woodsy's Tombstone Wheelbarrow German Suplex new, or have I not been attentive? It's not that you haven't been attentive, it's that we haven't gotten to see it in frickin' forever, but it is not new.
I think the last time I saw it was when he beat Jonathan Gresham for the Pure Championship.
God, that was
645
years ago. That was before Tony Khan bought ROH, legit. So that was forever ago. A lot of his Pure matches, when it felt like he was going to be the guy to face Shibata, were kind of squashes or didn't really allow for stuff like this. But he is a specimen. He's so impressive. Very, very happy to see him in action here. Would like to see him in longer action, as I was saying when he had all those squashes, because he's just a really fun wrestler to watch. So I want to see him do so for longer. Already used my Blue Chew segue, so that's a shame. But like, it's such a tough life out here, SP3. But this was. I'm glad Josh Woods is back on my screen. I would like to see him targeted towards something. And with Lee Moriarty having a real pure run, it feels like he should be kind of maybe sneaking back into that picture, in my opinion. There were some references to his pure title reign on commentary tonight, which maybe we're sprinkling a little bit in there. But Barrett Brown having a bad day at work. Bad day, Barrett Brown. I'm so sorry for you, but he's great. We've seen him before, and he's quite good. So, but this was fun. This was good. I hope it leads to bigger and better things because I love Josh Woods and I want to see more of him. Your thoughts on this?
I'm all for a Josh Woods push, but yeah, that was my main takeaway was the finish of the matchup and how long it's been since I've seen it. And I will say, I am a supporter of Smart Mark Sterling, and I did my fact checking, and he told no lies. He never tells a lie. I think he's passed all his lie detector tests. He got 100%, A+. However you grade a lie detector test, he got full marks.
Look, I appreciate your assessment, but it's not like he's Nigel McGuinness, okay? Nigel has never told a lie, but I don't know.
I mean, that's
I don't
true.
know about Smart Mark, man. I don't know. But a fun look, if you're going to do a squash, this is the way you do it because I'm going to remember that spot. That is the only super chat that we got tonight was about that spot. So that's how good it was. People wanted to pay money to talk about it. So some good stuff there, but hey, this is another good thing that we got. It is Leila Grey versus Promise Braxton. And what I think was the best I've seen Leila Grey look in ring. She's someone that got a shot during the pandemic, joined the Baddies. She's a singer and a dancer, I think, and an ultimate performer. But she was very new to wrestling when AEW got their hands on her. And seems like she's been putting in the work because I think this was the best we've seen her kind of from every aspect, not just the in-ring execution of moves, but like she was pausing and taking in those audiences' reactions a little bit more and a little bit more vibrant with the facial expressions and stuff like that. So not the longest match, but a very effective one, I think, in that it showed a lot of progress from the last time we saw her in the ring. And I gotta say, one thing I like about ROH that I firmly believe should be universal in all of wrestling, and I'm pretty sure the infantry set the standard for this, is I like it when men come out with women when they're in the same stable. I like that Johnny TV comes out with Taya. I like that Top Flight came out with Leila Grey. I like that the infantry come out for Trish Adora. I like that because for so long, and it's not their fault, but like women were the valets of stables. They didn't really get to do a lot, or when they did, because of the era that they were wrestling in, it wasn't like they were having their own 10-minute matches or whatever. And so the men didn't come out for theirs because that was the girls' thing to do. And we've gotten away from that. And I love how much of that we get in ROH. And nice to see that trickle down here with Leila Grey, too, who she is allowed to have the flight attendant outfit. She looks good in this, all right? This fits her. I don't need Darius and Dante in it so much, but she belongs with this look. She looked great in there. But I was impressed. I was really impressed by the growth that we've seen from the last time she was in the ring. What did you think of what we got? And Promise Braxton, by the way, an excellent wrestler. We've seen her a few times, but this to me was more of a showcase for Leila to show what she could do.
Yeah, it definitely was, and I like what we saw from Leila Grey. Like you said, she's showing that, evolution in her game. I got to see her a little bit more on I think it was Reality of Wrestling and OVW. I think she had a stint over there as well, where I was able to kind of see her a little bit more, see her grow over there. So yeah, and I think she was also featured on that Wrestlers reality show that was on Netflix. So if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So got to see her in a couple of other different places where I was like, oh, I know her from AEW and Ring of Honor. And now seeing her here, you could see the improvement in her game from working on those independent promotion is helping her out here. She gets the character that she's playing right now, and she's getting more confidence. And I think we need more reps for her. But I just like overall them establishing that, yes, she is a wrestler. She's not just a valet.
Agreed, and she wins with a butterfly brainbuster. Like, she was not pulling those out before. She looked good. Very similar to the Angel's wings, which I loved commentary pointing out. Like this, maybe this is Leila's wings. I thought was a cute little nod on commentary there. But really good stuff. Very encouraging to see. It's the stuff that makes you kind of like root for this as a developmental brand for sure. So
Yeah.
love seeing that. But I'll tell you what I don't like. This nasty attitude from Blake Christian. He used to be such a nice boy. We used to be a proper country, okay? But now we got the GCW'd up version of Blake Christian.
I love it.
Truly very fun against Rosario Grillo, who we've seen many times in our ROH AEW umbrella for sure. Nightmare Factory student looked good here, but this was all for Blake Christian to show that he's a big fat meanie now. And you get that vicious shoulder stomp stretched out, like brutal. And he gets the pin here. I loved commentary pointing out that this is normally where he'd go for the Fosbury flop, but he's not here to do that anymore. He's not doing stuff to pop the crowd. He's doing stuff to inflict pain. Good piece of commentary. These guys are so great. This is disappointing because I always thought Blake Christian was a nice boy. What did you think?
I knew that Blake Christian wasn't a nice boy. I watch my Game Changer Wrestling, and I know he's just a dirty, rotten scoundrel. I got to see him in the Best of Super Juniors, where he played more of his ECW, his GCW role instead of, ROH Blake Christian, who has been a happy-go-lucky high flyer. This is the role and the character that is going to help him make a difference and be what he needs to be in Ring of Honor, showing that edge to him, showing that cockiness and trying to inflict pain on his opponent. And no one makes a springboard 450 look like a violent move more than Blake Christian in the game right now. That was a great finish to the matchup, but that's what I need. I need the heel turn from Blake Christian. We saw a little bit of it at the end of his matchup with Lio Rush. I wouldn't mind if they go back to that and they build a little series of matches between those two guys, because I think it's a type of rivalry, in-ring rivalry that can elevate both guys at the same time, with Lio getting more reps on Ring of Honor and Blake Christian showing off his new character more.
I am fine with him being a big meanie in the ring, but he needs to bake cookies for his neighbors.
No.
He's got to go volunteer.
No, he hangs out with Missy Hyatt. No.
What are you saying, SP3? That Missy Hyatt's a bad influence? Sir.
I'm saying that Missy Hyatt has a history.
She does.
Yeah.
She does.
Yep.
We're gonna just move along to Ishii and Aria Davari, but we got this chat from Tom LaValle saying Top Flight just needs tearaway pants, in my opinion. Yes, I am team. I'm team breakaway pants for like pretty much any circumstance. I don't care what it is. Weddings, funerals, I don't care. Breakaway pants are great. They're so much fun. They look so cool. Team breakaway pants. I don't know if it's just kind of coming off of my like Olympic high or whatever. Breakaway pants are great. Are you team breakaway pants or no?
Yeah, I am. I watch a lot of NBA where they have breakaway pants, so I'm here for it.
There you go. They set the standard in breakaway clothing.
They did. Just pull it apart, leave it on the sideline.
Let us know in the chat if you are team breakaway pants or not. And if you are not, you can leave the stream right now. So
yeah, touch tips if you're for breakaway pants.
Yeah, touch tips if you're breakaway pants. Boom. Boom. Here for it. Here for it. Ishii and Aria Davari, Premier Athletes conglomeration, led by Big Fat Liar Mark Sterling here, but Ishii favoring his chopping hands. I guess Aria Davari has like a chest of steel, but this was super, super fun. This is like, if you're going to have Ishii around, have him do this. Have him beat the ever-living crap out of people. That's all we want in this world. But this was fun. Davari looks good. I don't think this match is leading to anything. This episode was not a full 2 hours, but it did feel kind of longer than it needed to be. This was one of those things that probably could have gotten cut, but there were no complaints about it. It just felt like it was just here to have a match on the card, which is not the worst thing in the world, but we probably could have cut this out if we needed to. But unless Unless the Premier Athletes are being properly built, or we're getting Premier Athletes versus Conglomeration like for realsies. I don't know if we needed this. What did you think?
I was fine with this matchup because it was one of maybe 5 matchups on this 9-match card that felt like an actual match between guys that I know instead of just multiple squash matches. So I'm always down for a match where we can get both guys get a decent amount of offense here. And I thought that Daivari working over the hand and arm after Ishii hit the pole was a nice way for him to get heat. But Ishii is Ishii. He's one of the best, in my opinion, as far as his selling, his ability to get the crowd behind him. And I like him overcoming the interference of Smart Mark Sterling and getting the victory. And now he's won back-to-back from the All-In pre-show against All-In 0 Hour against Stokely Hathaway, and this match here, getting wins with the sliding lariat, which is usually just a near fall for him. And then he has to hit the vertical drop brainbuster. But you're versing Daivari, you're versing a Stokely. You don't need to work out your arms or your neck and put people up for vertical drop brainbusters. Just hit them with the sliding lariat, get the job done, get up out of there. And if this is the swan song for Ishii in Ring of Honor and AEW, I'm happy that he's doing it with a victory, because I'm thinking that Friday when he's on Capital Collision, teaming up with Hiroshi Tanahashi against Bad Dude Tito and Robbie Eagles of TMDK, as well as the grizzled young veterans in a 3-way matchup. I think this is New Japan's way of picking up Ishii and bringing him home to Japan. My only question, and this is a very serious question, Kate, for you, for the people watching. Should Chaos and Conglomeration go to court for custody of Ishii?
It's tough because I feel like the Conglomeration knew that Ishii was just like summering in America. You know what I mean? I don't think it has to get that ugly. I think we can work this out in arbitration. I do feel like they should make them pay to take him back, though. Like, there should be a financial exchange or a trade. Agree. Make a trade. You want to take Ishii away? Throw someone our way. Throw us.
He's an uncle now. He's an uncle to little Jay Briscoe.
It's true, and the baby title, which we got to see played with. But send us Yuya Uemura. He had a great G1. You make a trade. Do something for yourself. What I'm going to miss is Ishii on commentary, though, because he was a legend on Collision.
He was riveting. He was riveting. Riveting stuff.
Fantastic.
So I love Nigel finally speaking Japanese when he leaves the commentary table.
Oh, my God. Like, look, I know it's like, I know I'm committed to the bit of loving Nigel McGuinness, but, like, I really do love this guy so much. Like, he's so great. He's so great. And by the way, like, it was so overwhelming that he had such a great in-ring return. And then I see that lariat off the ropes, and I was like, he looks phenomenal as well. Like, he didn't, that was sitting in his, memory somewhere for sure. Yeah. For sure was muscle memory. But really, really good stuff. Guys, we're coming down the home stretch before we throw it off to the TNA crew, who I know is very excited to talk to you guys about this episode of TNA and all things going on at TNA right now. But earlier in the show, we have a promo from Shane Taylor to kind of help move the story along, help set things up, doing what Shane Taylor does best, and running down Moriarty's opponents for the night, saying that Angelico, they switched the pronunciation, so do I, that he better protect his neck out there, and kind of puts over the viciousness of Lee Moriarty versus someone who's a little bit of a loosey-goosey out there in Angelico. But this was a very, very fun main event. You know me, I'm a Pure Rules sicko. SP3 was tweeting about it. So I was very excited for this Pure Rules match, and I really liked the story we got out of this with the forced rope breaks. I loved commentary saying, much like Josh Woods' Pure title run, Lee Moriarty doesn't like to use those rope breaks. If he can avoid it, he will. Yeah. Really, really excellent stuff. Angelico's ability to move out of submissions just with, like, being extremely athletic and smooth never never ceases to amaze me. But they did a great job with this. Moriarty standing tall with the win, but like, God, I love pure matches because they just, in a regular wrestling show, would you have something that is a specialty like this, much like NXT with the Heritage Cup, it really does break up a couple hours of wrestling in a beautiful way. Here in the main event, really excellent stuff. But these two I knew were going to put on an awesome match. And this was my match of the night, though Mina and Rachael Ellering gave it a run for his money. I loved what we got out of this. What did you think?
This was splendid. This was really brilliant, like transitions and counter work. Love them just doing the different like hammer locks and different arm moves going back and forth. The story of the matchup being kind of trying to eliminate all the rope breaks of your opponent. And I like that it was Lee Moriarty who used his last rope break on when Angelico got on his finishing move, which has put people away in the past, that little leg lock twist into the ankle lock that he always does. And I was figuring that we were going to see Lee once again use the ropes to get the victory, but instead he pulls out the Hiromu roll and gets the 1, 2, 3. So I love the storytelling of the matchup, and man, Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman, once again, one of the best commentary teams in the game. They just tell the story so well, and they connect the dots on everything. If you're not understanding what's going on with the storytelling and the matchup, they bring it all together, and that's what a commentary team should do, even if it's not a long, drawn-out, weeks at a time story going into the title match. They get you firmly invested into the story that's going on throughout the matchup, the two different characters that we're talking about, the two different wrestlers, that their skill levels, what they do well in the ring, and they bring it all together, which makes into a perfect little picture for you and a perfect bit of business. So yeah, I agree with you. This was the match of the night, and one of my favorites on Ring of Honor television over the last couple of weeks. I think this was one of the most enjoyable times that I had watching a matchup.
Lee doing excellent work, because the series of matches that he won this from Yuta with were really great too. I loved him not cheating to win, because he needs to evolve as a champion, and he can still be an asshole and play with the rules, a la Nigel McGuinness actually, but him not using the ropes to do it every time. Like, pure rules are not a place where you should be winning the same way twice all the time. Like, that's a really, really good way to change how you're telling the story every time in there. And yes, Caprice and Ian, my favorite commentary team in the game, but on Pure Rules matches specifically, the work that they do is like its own work of art underneath it, because they add so much value to the point where I'd rather watch a match like this listening to them than I would rather than being there live, because you miss stuff that they add in there, and they're so great, with Caprice's ability to put you in the mind of the wrestler, and Ian's ability to weave in and out the way that the story is told for you is just unreal. But let's see if we can catch Cresta mid-burp again as we bring on our TNA crew. We're going to bring in Joel. We're going to bring in Cresta, who is sadly not mid-belt here. But
I was muted. I was ready this time. I had to blow my nose. You wasn't going to catch me slipping 2 weeks in a row.
I'm upset. It was like an incredible moment last week.
Next time.
We'll throw it over to you guys and get out of here. I know we're almost at the 10:10 mark, so we'll hop out, ski butt. Have a wonderful time, guys. Support these two. Send in those super chats as we throw it over to them. Get in that TNA talk. We're out of here.
But they don't want to. They want to do a crossover. They're all no one.
Kate said, "I got better things to do than this chicken shit gig."
Like peace out, bye. I get it. I get it. You don't even get to get a word in edgewise. There's no hey, how are you? There's no. It's like they don't love us anymore. What did we do?
It. At least she didn't give us the Irish goodbye. See ya.
I mean, she gave us like the podcasting Irish goodbye. It was just like, okay, bye. Like GTFO, let's go.
I got things to do. See you. Bye. We love you, Jay. We love you, SP3. But it's like 4 a.m. where SP3 is at. Let it be known, SP3 is in London. He's in London town right now.
Sure. Yeah, he's doing okay. Listen, we know Kate and SP3 love us. We know that they're here too.
We gotta give them a hard time. That's what we gotta do.
Yeah, that's just kind of honestly, that's par for the course for this this platform. That's what we do on Fightful.
Just give each other a hard time.
Bro, when I started here, I basically, and this was 2019, 2020, I was basically told, like, if we're not making fun of you, there's a problem. And I'm like, that's the lead? They're like, yeah, if you're being made fun of, that means you're loved here. And I'm like,
No one makes fun of me. What the? Aww.
I mean, I changed the culture by just being a nice person. So that's
let's be nice people. What's our group name? Right to censor, right to niceness.
Right to kindness.
Right to kindness. That's better. Right to kindness.
All of this is awful. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I was quite sports entertained tonight, more so than last week. And tonight, I got more commentary notes than match notes. Yucks tonight. Tonight was comedy hour.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. I thought it was, no, you know what? I thought there were a lot of good things about it. I thought that there were, I'll put it like this, and I know we're going to do the real thing. I wouldn't have put the Josh Alexander and Nick Nemeth segment on last. I would have had that Knockouts world title match last, because I think I understand why. Obviously it's a big match that they're getting ready for tomorrow night at Emergence. But other than that, I was kind of like, we'll break down the segment itself on the actual show. But the match by Elegance to me it would have been a more entertaining finish to the night for me.
I can see what you're saying. We'll talk about it more later, but I understand why they did it. And I will say the Ash by Elegance match, they should have just called it a Cody Rhodes overbooked, because that's what the Fightful overbooked. That's what that was.
They definitely they leaned into my platform, didn't they?
They pandered directly to you. Overbooked.
Listen, they got to do a little bit more to pander to my ass. Anyway, you ready to go?
I was born ready.
And a 1 and a 2. Hello, friends. We're back again. It's August 29, 2024, Fightful.com. It's time for your TNA Impact post show. I am Rachael Pearl. And of course, the lovely, fantastic, colliding Cresta Star is here. How are you feeling this evening, Ms. Star?
I don't even know why I'm here. I've never seen wrestling a day in my life.
I mean, that's how I feel every single week when I approach this dais. I sit here, and if I had a chair right now that wasn't an office chair that swivels and stuff, I would be sitting, I'd turn it around and I'd be sitting in it like that. Because that's what tonight's main event segment was all about. It was
just staring at each other.
Who could be more serious turning a chair around and sitting on it? They basically mimicked each other. We'll talk about it later. That's Josh Alexander and Nick Nemeth gearing up for their 1-hour Iron Man match at Emergence, which is tomorrow night. We will be here live on youtube.com/Fightful covering the show, doing the post show, as Cresta and I always do. So you'll be able to join us live and talk about the show. We'll run down the card during this show. And of course, we're going to talk about TNA Impact for August 29th. Overall, it was a pretty fun show, a solid show. Cresta, how'd you feel about it?
Like I was saying in the crossover, tonight for me was yucks. And a prime example of all it takes is one gimmick, one segment for me to change my mind on a wrestler. AJ Francis, you funny. You a fun. To quote Rick Ross, you a funny motherfucker.
He's good.
I want him on commentary. It gave me shades of Taz, but I digress.
Yeah, AJ, we sing his praises frequently, and we're about to when we get into the show. But sing our praises. Would you leave a thumbs up on the video if you haven't already, because you watched the Ring of Honor post show? And if you're listening to us in the audio form and you're just listening to one or the other, go ahead, leave a 5-star review here on this channel, because that gets your friends closer to listening to your other friends about wrestling. So let's get in on that. Subscribe to us here at youtube.com/Fightful, and subscribe to Fightful Select, the best $5 in the business. Our show tonight sponsored by NordVPN. More about them a little bit later, but let's talk about Impact for tonight. Let's dig right into it. We open up with the X Division Championship on the line. Speedball Mike Bailey, he defends his title successfully. Doesn't matter who it is. AJ Francis is on commentary. He's asking for an invite to the Treehouse, which I love. Spanish Fly gets the victory. Speedball retains his title. Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel are watching on. They're in the box. Wentz is in Ultimate X tomorrow night, and then he goes to Denver, Colorado on Sunday to face Wes Lee at NXT No Mercy. Wentz is also doing the TV tapings for TNA on Saturday, so a busy weekend for Mr. Wentz. Let's talk about Mike Bailey and his X Division Championship match.
I regret to inform you that I was spending too much time laughing at AJ Francis. Allow me to read you the greatest hits from this evening. Can a brother get an invite to the treehouse? I'm the plug. For those who don't know, that means he's the guy with the supply. Education here on Fightful.
He ain't lying. Like, I'm just saying. I'm not speaking from experience. I'm just saying that I can confirm that others have mentioned that he is plugged.
It's okay, Joel. We don't just.
Hey, listen. I'm very transparent about my intake.
Caught in 4K.
No, not even. You know what? I'll be perfectly honest. So for those who don't know, I used to work professionally in music. I would tour. I would be working with bands. I would be on stage, and everyone's like, "Oh, you probably like got baked and go." So I'm like, "Nope, I'm not straight edge. Like I have a drink once in a while, but like in terms of
Punk.
No, I'm not that self-righteous. Someone's saying ideal. No, I don't. But like during the pandemic, when my wife and I, first of all, hadn't had our kid yet, and we also just had some time on our hands, we ordered a couple of like the government-approved chocolates. Like tried that. It was still pretty stupid, basic stuff. But other than that, I was never really a weed guy. But hey, to each their own, man. As long as you're safe and as long as you do it comfortably, do your thing.
Joel is working. He hosts a show called In the Weeds. I'm just saying he's working.
I'm a very, very safe worker, Cresta Star. I'm a very safe worker. My Twitter, which is locked down forever now, I feel, it says I'm PR friendly, and I really stand by that.
He is. I'm not. I'm a personality high. Anyway, back to my jokes. He said Speedball can't even afford shoes. You ain't gotta respect the people you beat up, which had me cackling for no reason. Then after he distracted Speedball, he said, I'm a nice distraction with all these beautiful colors on. I'm hard to miss. AJ Francis is the worst best on commentary, and I low-key want him commentating everything. I've got more. This man said he hasn't had a battle like this since his battle with Athlete's Foot, which was absolutely diabolical. You ought to go to jail for that. He said, how does he not break his toes after Speedball did a moonsault? I don't want to read you everything because I wrote a bunch. This match I couldn't pay attention to respectfully because I know the match was good. With the stuff I do have, the moonsault on Moon Swann, Rich Swann, Jesus, get it together, Cresta Star. The handspring cutter on Bailey, but the kick out at one was fantastic. But honestly, AJ Francis on commentary, I know you want to be a wrestler, but maybe this is your calling because that was hilarious. I feel like I was watching wrestling with my cousins back in the day. It was like, yo, shut up. I'm trying to watch wrestling, please. It was great.
I think AJ's just happy to be entertaining. I don't think he would participate. I don't think he would care if he's doing this by taking bumps. I think stuff like this he has a lot of fun with. He does try to get involved in the match, but Trent Seven stops it, so it's good. It feels like we're as we discover later, they're teasing a little bit of First Class getting involved in the tag division, and we'll get to that in a little bit when we talk about the actual tag match on the show. But again, this was a pretty easy victory in terms of like the expectational side of things, right? Speedball was gonna successfully retain the title. He's going into Ultimate X on Friday night. Wouldn't have made sense to swap the title just on a dime. I would like to see that someday as a storyline trope because that's a fun little like, oh my god, anything can happen. But this wasn't the time to do it because Speedball just won the X Division Championship. This was just a solid match to have.
I totally agree. Also the finish when Speedball got that standing Spanish fly, while unexpected, I rarely see him end the match like that. So I was sports entertained. This match to me was very sports entertaining. Like I said, AJ Francis, I don't know if you watch. If you do, you made a fan out of me. You need to be on commentary. Hilarious.
And AJ Francis, if you do watch this show, you ain't shit. Nah, I like him fine. It's actually
I got too much heat with people as it is, please.
Hey, me too. Oh my god, what a coincidence.
We're heat magnets.
We're just heat magnets. Patrick Moore sent a super chat. Thank you, saying still pretty new to TNA. Y'all keep me interested. It seems to me that Speedball is a good wrestler. Is that correct? Love y'all. Patrick, yes, absolutely. Speedball is not just a good wrestler. He's a great wrestler. If you have time and if you're the type of person to go seek out independent wrestling stuff, Speedball's all over the indies, and he has had some standout, phenomenal matches, many of which are in full segments online. You can find them, and he's very good.
I will also say, because I know people care about this kind of stuff nowadays, he's an impeccable human. I have not heard anyone say anything bad about Speedball. People say that he is an asset to locker rooms. The way he thinks of things, the interview I was very grateful enough to get with Gringo Loco said the way that Speedball sees wrestling, it's like, are you sure we can do that? And Speedball's like, yeah, it's okay. Just invert reality. It's fine. No problem. He's invaluable to have. I've never heard nothing but amazing things about this guy. He's great to watch. His independent stuff is a little bit more gnarly. No shade, because he really be bending people's backs, but it's great. I look at it and I'm soft.
If you haven't yet, go check out an interview with Speedball. Rob Wilkins did one a couple of weeks ago. I did one in person with him in Vegas after Hard to Kill weekend in January. Those are both on the main channel. Go check those out. Speedball's also had conversations with Sean Ross Sapp in the past. Very fun interview, very easy to speak to, and has really different views on professional wrestling that for some people they're going to love it, and other people are going to be like, oh, I don't understand this, but I absolutely understand how Speedball understands this. So that's kind of my that's my takeaway whenever I speak to or interact with Speedball. He's a very unique person, and I think in the best way possible. Let's move along. Gia Miller interviews Jordynne Grace. This is a very quick one leading up to the match by Elegance. She says it's all about giving opportunities. Ash is lucky because she's had 3. And then this is all about building Jordynne Grace's legacy in TNA. We're going to talk about the match in a little bit, but it definitely feels like Jordynne Grace is like, let's just get this over with. That's the tone of the interview.
I got that too. And I'm like, I want to believe it's just because you're trying to play up a character. Because if in kayfabe, I too would be sick of Ash by Elegance. Every time I turn around, you're there. Go away, go away. That's what I perceived. Whether it was real or not, I don't know. That's the beauty of professional wrestling. She's working her ass off.
Joe Hendry defeats Brian Myers with the Edwards at ringside. Joe Hendry does his shtick at the beginning of the match. Basically says that nobody respects Brian Myers because he got the crowd to chant Edge's bitch. If you know, you know. Just go back in the archives. You'll find out a lot about that. Cresta's favorite song. Yes. And we believe garners respect, so we believe in Joe Hendry. Lish gets ejected from the match midway through by referee Daniel Spencer, and then Hendry powers Myers into the fall-away slam, hits the standing ovation, gets the win. This is one thing that I really love, and we'll talk about the match that precedes it afterwards. Edwards comes back, beats down Joe Hendry. Santana, who has the next match against Edwards, he comes out to make the save, even though he kind of takes his sweet ass time getting there. But regardless, I like it when matches flow into each other. And this made sense, especially with the 8-man tag that's coming up at Emergence. This was good. And the match with Myers and Hendry, very good. Let's talk about that, and then we can move on to Santana and Edwards.
I love Joe Hendry. I am not fair and unbiased when it comes to his matches. Honestly, F the system. And I think that's the appropriate response. This was a good match. The fact that, again, that you can still get people to chant Edge's bitch. 10 out of 10. The match was fine. My only gripe was we see Aleah Edwards get ejected before the commercial break. I pay for TNA Plus. I get a commercial break. Please don't flame.
Oh, don't worry. Soon everyone's going to be paying for TNA Plus because the YouTube is now gone. And that upsets me. We'll talk about
then come all over to the dark side, baby. But when we come back, Eddie Edwards is gone. So I'm like, okay, he just Thanos snapped away. So, okay, work. It makes sense. You want to keep making Joe Hendry look strong. Complete sense. Aleah Edwards, I respect it. That is really a ride or die because she will take a bump and still get up like, I told you. She's amazing. I love this role for her. Like, she's such a good hero. I think this was the perfect complaining, like this is right what it needs to be right before Emergence.
Yeah, and it gives Joe Hendry a win as he goes into not only Emergence but then the NXT Championship match that he has at No Mercy on Sunday night. It just made sense. Brian Myers can take an L and look like an idiot, and he still wins at life moving forward.
Agreed. And he's a part of the system, so you really don't feel bad for booing any of the system. You might feel a little compassion every now and then, but then they're gonna do some system stuff. You're like, oh, I'll get these guys out of here.
Yeah, exactly, and it works best. Mike Santana, like we said, he runs down to make the save after the match when Edwards comes back, and then Mike Santana defeats Edwards in a very good match. This was the first time these two have had any contact in a singles capacity, which was great. This was my one little gripe about the match. If the referee, then they changed referees. So Daniel Spencer did the last match. Paige Principali, I swear to God, I'm going to be able to speak tonight. Paige Principali takes over and she does this match. Why does she allow Aleah Edwards to stay when she saw that Lish got ejected from the last match because she would have been backstage? So that's a little moment to me where I'm just like, we could have tightened that up a little bit better.
That was cartoon logic.
Yes. So either way, Santana and Edwards have a great match. You wanted to have Lish out there because, of course, Santana's overcoming the odds. Like it makes sense from the getting the babyface over type of mentality, but also it just didn't make sense in the why wouldn't the nice referee listen to the last referee and get rid of the woman who wasn't getting involved in the last match? Why wasn't she banned there?
You're using your brain too much because Aleah was banned from the previous match, not this match. This match is different than the last match because the competitors in that match were not the same.
Why do wrestling brains have to know gymnastic level bumps and falls? Why do we have to go that far?
There is a popular YouTuber who often says about wrestling that things just happen.
Yeah, I gotta stop using logic in professional wrestling. Santana uses his outlined in chalk move and does a punt into the afterwards. That's the combo. That's good. That's to borrow Cresta. It's disgusting. And then it's disgusting. And then rolling buck 50 into the blue thunder bomb. That was fantastic. Trying to get the buck 50 out, rolling buck 50 from Santana gets turned into a blue thunder bomb by the Edwards is Eddie Edwards. And then the Boston Knee Party gets countered into the spin. The block gets the win for Santana. Really good match. Worth going your way to see it. I have nothing else to add because these guys are all going to be in the 8-man tag on Friday nights.
My only thing I have to add is Mike Santana is, to quote Jim Ross, tougher than a $2 steak because old boy was lighting up his back and his chest. Those chest chops are Eddie Edwards be working stiff. And if you can take it, he going to show you he from Boston for real, bro. The back of Mike Santana's back. I mean, he's only a back, but like the 3 minutes into the match, it looked like hamburger meat. It was, whoo. I have to give him praise for that because I know you sitting in the ice bath after that because woo, them chest chops was disgusting.
Thank you. Or I guess I should thank you for having that. Anyway, Matt Cardona.
Let me ask you a question real quick.
Sure.
You know where that's from?
I've seen it before, the original one. Can you just go ahead?
Fresher for all you those who don't know, born after 2005, there was a meme on the internet of these two. I want to say they were Irish or Scottish girls, and they was on the internet like, yeah, and their mom comes in and says, which one of you took a shit and didn't flush the toilet? It must have been one of yous. Disgusting. So whenever something really nasty in wrestling, but not bloody nasty, right around the cuff, like disgusted, it must have been one of yous.
I know I've seen this before. The thing is, you go from doing it in different accents. Sometimes it's Irish, sometimes it's Scottish, sometimes it's Jamaican. What are we doing?
I am an American, so you can flame me accordingly. Listen, I'm not an actor.
Given where you live, I can see all of those options being on the table. So we'll leave it at
New York. That's fair.
Matt Cardona is not always ready. He is, quote, almost ready. That popped me. So I've made no bones about this because I watch on YouTube. The show starts a little bit later, so I'm catching up and I'm still seeing stuff on socials. I also started closer to 9 o'clock because I'm working on other things and then I catch up on the show. One thing that really bugged me is, the almost ready thing made me laugh. But I also know that Matt Cardona worked a match at GCW last weekend. So like, I know he's back. So like for me, I know he's fine. Why? So then Santino walks in and Cardona's like, don't blame me, blame your doctors. And I'm like, all right, I see where this is going. And of course, he's just trying to get out of the match with PCO. I get it. Like he's trying to be that chicken shit heel. It's fine. I get it. And then he says he's got a mystery monster for PCO tomorrow. That match is on the countdown. Who is the mystery monster, Cresta? Who could it be?
I have no idea, but I'm still kind of dead at you. Like, why the you lying? Like you not. I just saw you injured. Now, Matthew Cordova, that's you right now. I don't know. I thought about it. I'm like, who's a free agent? My first thought was Hammerstone. Like, no, but he's an Ultimate X, so it can't be Hammerstone. Khan, again, we just saw that.
Khan would be a little too on the nose.
But like, I don't know who else. Who's a big dude? We just had Madman Fulton, and you know that's my favorite guy to pull out the hat. So
yeah, it's a strange. Someone's saying Lashley. I don't think so.
I saw that. I want to be like, yo, Ben.
No, I like Pile Driver finisher.
I like Pile Driver too, but you need time out, sir.
Someone just referenced Dijak being one of them. Dijak just showed up at MLW, by the way, tonight. So spoilers. It's live. What am I spoiling anything?
I wouldn't even know. I literally can't think of anyone who's a free agent at the moment who would be available for TNA, because there's a lot of things going on this weekend too.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the roster, the free agents. I don't even know. If you know what, if he were here, Steven Jensen would say Cruel, Mads Kruger, who's another MLW guy who's been around. So there you go. That's
I don't know. All I got is Funkasaurus, but I don't think we like that guy anymore. I don't know.
No, thank you. It's got to be a big dude. We'll see who it is. That's the one thing I'm kind of looking forward to. And this is, again, TNA shows are pretty cut and dry when it comes to these specials. It's like, we're going to have your surprise. We're going to have maybe a title change hands. Although, well, yeah, we have at least one title change hands through the night. We do things that, it follows a pattern. If you watch enough of them and you talk about them enough, things just kind of follow a pattern with TNA, especially the specials. You just kind of see where it's going. So the monster is like, who's the big shock?
I had to laugh because somebody said JBL. I'm like, if you said JBL's a monster, I got a bridge to sell you in the Nile.
No, Jabil's worked GCW. That's why.
But as the monster, come on.
He's a big dude compared to a lot of the people on that roster. He's 6'4". He's a big dude.
The last time JBL was a monster was back in the APA. And that was 20-something years ago. More than 20-something years ago, okay?
I'm just saying, he's big. Maybe he's big by Cardona standards. Cardona was the one who brought in Jables for this whole thing. So it's possible. We'll see.
It's Ishii. That's it.
God, I hope not. 500-year-old Tomohiro Ishii showing up in TNA. Still wrestling. Still on excursion, even though after all these years, he's been out of excursion. Alex Hammerstone defeats Eric Young. Steve Macklin's on commentary. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Macklin didn't say too much on commentary. He basically had an opening line and then a closing line, and then Hammerstone hit that huge boot and got the Nightmare Pendulum and beat EY, and Macklin was just like, took his eyes off target, and that was it.
I mean, Macklin was saying things, but it was like, well, I'm focused, and yeah, I didn't win, but I owned up to my mistakes. And then out of nowhere, Eric Young was just like, heck you, Macklin. And listen, I'm on Macklin's side on this. So Macklin's like, I'm just over here yapping. Pay attention to that big guy in the ring. I don't understand that from Eric Young. That was a choice. Macklin really didn't say anything crazy. Macklin's just like, I'm focused. I'm just out here scouting my target. And Eric Young was like, I'll beat you. I'm like, he didn't even try to interfere. I was confused. I was sports confused. I was very sports confused by the sequence of events in this match, because the match was going good. It was going great. That arm drag from Hammerstone, that arm drag onto Hammerstone from Eric Young with that size difference was. But I don't understand getting in Macklin's. Macklin literally did nothing wrong, and I'm defending Macklin. Macklin did justice for Macklin. He did nothing wrong.
Yeah, it's very strange. I don't know what we were doing here, because, like you said, Macklin is. He's so much. How can I put this? Macklin's character right now, he's back to being a heel, but on top of that, he is. I don't even know how to put it. He's eyes
focused.
On the prize.
He's very focused. He's locked in, as the kids would say. He's locked in right now.
It was very strange. However, they decided to put this together. But talk about the match itself. EY and Hammerstone, they kind of renewed their rivalry from just after Montreal when they did the tag team match. What do you think of the match between EY and Hammerstone?
That Death Valley driver on Hammerstone from Eric Young was super impressive, because Hammerstone is kind of like Jake something in that physique where they're just large and imposing. And Eric Young is no small guy either, but in comparison, holy crap, to hoist that man up, ridiculous. Again, the match itself was fine. I was just confused as to why Eric Young would approach Macklin. It wasn't like he was AJ Francis in that commentary booth just yucking it up. He literally didn't say too much about Eric Young besides he's the past. He's had 15 years. Beat it. You ain't do nothing. Get out of here. But even then, that's par for the course. It was good. I never expect a bad match from TNA. Like you really got to be doing, maybe I have to be doing shrooms to see a bad match at TNA. I was just confused as to why Eric Young would bother Steve Macklin.
Well, listen, if you plan to do anything illicit, if you plan to do anything out of the ordinary, if you just need to protect yourself from every option out there safely, we got you covered.
I've often talked about how much of a pay-per-view buyer I am. Take that any way you want it, but I'll tell you how I take it. NordVPN.com/Fightful. Fastest VPN on the planet, global server network, all that good stuff. That's great. But a big reason why I got NordVPN.com/Fightful is all the pay-per-views I buy, all the money we're spending. We're trying to control costs as a company, as a household. You can get those UFC pay-per-views at a fraction of the price you're paying here in America. Plus, you can get all kinds of great content that you wouldn't normally see thanks to those services as well. Shows that are on overseas services, things that you want to watch a little bit early so you get on that UK time and watch them. Being able to change the interfaces of things like the WWE Network. Maybe you don't like Peacock, anything like that. NordVPN.com/Fightful gives you that ability while having the fastest VPN on the planet. Also, you just get so much more out of your internet experience with NordVPN.com/Fightful. Subscribe to Fight and AEW Plus. Watch AEW without commercials. Watch bare knuckle boxing. Watch UFC pay-per-views, boxing pay-per-views at the rates they're getting over in the UK. Change your virtual location with just one click. And hey, if you need any help using it, they got that 24/7 tech support. NordVPN.com/Fightful.
Thanks to our friends at NordVPN.com/Fightful. Go check that out. Hey, listen, if you're gonna watch Emergence and maybe you're not on TNA Plus, check out NordVPN.com/Fightful and maybe use it on fights because it's like $10. But the pay-per-views are where it really comes into play. Go check that out. Just telling you to go check out the Nord. All right, how about that?
Do it.
ABC defeats Jake Something and Cody Deaner. This is the curious case of Jake Something, Cresta star. And I might have it figured out, but let's talk about the match real quick. Deaner's like, hey, we're going to do people power. And then Something's like, no, forget that. We're going to prove ourselves the tag division. Deaner's like, okay. Something tosses everyone everywhere, including his own cousin Cody, which is great. And then the Art of the Fold wins it because I don't really have much else to say other than these guys came in, said they'll make an impact, and then they didn't. The post-match is where it really matters. First Class come in, they take down ABC, and Jake Something watches. And they're really showing off that whole thing. AJ Francis is going to need a new big man, which is ironic to say because AJ Francis is a big man. Josh Bishop is injured. They brought him in. So maybe the curious case isn't so curious anymore, Cresta. Could we be seeing Jake Something joining First Class?
Oh, he gonna kill Cody Deaner. When he shut that mic, that people shit down, I was like, this is very foreboding. You are going to pass away, Cody Deaner, and I like you. But Jake Something has Mick had it, and he does not want to be with you anymore. And like you said, them lingering on ABC being beat up and AJ Francis and them lingering on Jake Something, I was like, oh, man. I think you guys have a match tomorrow. And Jake Something's going to turn up on you, Cody Deaner.
I have a feeling they're going to wait to do anything at the TV tapings.
I mean, they could.
Go ahead. Sorry, I was going to say, Emergence is pretty well stacked. They are saying so much more on their card, but there's enough going on that I don't know if you want to add this as well.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like the end is near for Cody Deaner because Jake Something's going to turn that man inside out.
I would do that. You know what? Because it's Deaner, I think they'd want to run it as a TV angle, have him beat up Deaner.
See it.
Yeah.
And I can see them beating him up now, doing an angle, and then beating him up again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. But I'm looking forward to it because this is time for I feel like we say this like every quarter now. It's time for Jake something to finally rise and do something.
Like it's kind of frustrating because I'm like, he is somebody you could really have in that contention and put a belt on him, any belt, and it would instantly make it like, wow, this guy's doing something. But however, TNA, to their credit and to their detriment, have a lot of good moving parts, So it's hard to slot in everybody, because I could say the same thing for Hammerstone or Eric Young or even Frankie Kazarian being somebody's angry uncle. You know what I mean? There's so many moving parts where it's kind of hard to be like, damn, what do I do? Give you the digital media? Ooh, do I give it to you? I mean, who has that? PCO?
AJ Francis. No, PCO. Sorry.
I mean,
I'm an idiot.
you could beat up PCO. I have to say sorry, PCO.
I feel like PCO is going to drop that title to Matt Cardona soon enough.
Almost always ready.
Almost ready.
That was great. Almost ready. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. But Dean is gonna die. It's in his future.
It is. And AJ Francis is running solo for now.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was thinking. They could do it at the pay-per-view because of all the things that have happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we'll see. I would leave because AJ's not even on the pay-per-view to begin with. He's even said, I'm not Mike Cardona's monster because he can't afford me. That made me laugh.
That's funny.
Other than that, if you don't need him, don't book him, essentially. Bring him out for TV, and just leave it at that, and then do whatever you need to do with Diener and Jake and AJ Francis. Do that on TV. Let that build, because Victory Road is the next show, and that's in 2 weeks, by the way.
I feel like we had like a pay-per-view 2 weeks prior to this.
So remember how we talk about this all the time, how they do the thing where they do a pay-per-view and then they do the TV taping the next night, and then they go and they tape more TV that gets us to the next show, but then they realize that the gap is so small that they can only do one TV taping afterwards, and then they got to do another special because this is the TNA taping schedule. It's always been this way, where there's a special at one point, there's a special in a 2-week gap that happens at least 2 to 3 times a year with them.
I'm also I feel like there are times where it's like pay-per-view at the end of the month, or pay-per-view at the end of the next month, or pay-per-view at the end of the month, pay-per-view at the beginning of the month, and then not until the end or the middle of next month. But this is feel like pay-per-view, tapings, pay-per-view, club, tapings, another club, pay-per-view.
So basically Friday is Emergence, and then September 13th, so 2 weeks after, is Victory Road. And it makes sense, again, in the taping scheme, because of the way that they do their tapings. They tape 2 weeks for one night. So when they did Slammiversary, they did Slammiversary on the Saturday. Sunday was the TV tapings that covered for 2 weeks. And then after that 2 weeks, they had the Tampa, Florida tapings that took us all the way to Emergence, which is tomorrow night. So they're like, everything that they get in the can, it's effective, but it's so much.
You know what? Get your money, honey, because some people can't even put a show on every other month. You know what I mean? So get your money, TNA.
That's the thing. Like, then they're going to do, so they've got Victory Road on the 13th, and then on the 14th, they're going to take 2 weeks, and then they're going to be in Spartanburg, South Carolina for 2 nights, which means they're going to tape for 4 weeks. So that's 6 weeks. And that should take us to Bound for Glory, which is October 26th. And then they do TV tapings, and then they go to North Carolina, then they do Turning Point. At least there's a month between those. Anyway, whatever.
Either way, get your money, TNA, period. That's my answer.
And then Final Resolution wraps up the year. That's going to be in Atlanta, Georgia.
When TNA comes back to New York, I want to go. I feel like out of all I've been to a lot of wrestling shows, and TNA is the last one, and TNA is really the one that put me on. So I'll be there at some New York show. Hopefully not in Buffalo, because that's far. But if you come to New York City, I'll be there. Or New Jersey, I'll be there.
Well, the Knockouts title match by Elegance is up next. Pink chairs, diamonds, trash cans, tables wrapped in chiffon. Ash by Elegance hits Grace during her introduction, which I thought it was hilarious. And then I had to listen to George Iceman on color commentary because Matt Raywald is supposed to be going backstage to get ready for that face-to-face.
That was fucking funny too. Oh my God.
Hannafin being absolutely in hell for the entirety of this. It's fantastic.
I don't know what they pay Hannafin, but tonight it wasn't enough.
Can already tell you whatever he's going to bring out tomorrow night is going to be bonkers. It was played very well. There was some good stuff in this match. This was a very entertaining match. Again, the protein shaker filled with diamonds, the champagne bottle, Ash by Elegance basically screaming every time she couldn't get a pinfall. Eventually, Rosemary interferes and stops George Iceman from getting involved with the heels on Jordynne Grace. Masha Lisha show up, Spitfire run them off. Jordynne Grace hits the Muscle Buster, which she's now calling Shades of Samoa, through a table on the outside for the win. Let that be it. Let this be the blow off. I know they're doing the 6-woman tag at Emergence. Let this be it. Don't let Ash get the pinfall tomorrow night. Don't do it. Just let it end. Let it move forward. We're going home.
I'm going to go by this beat by beat. I'm kidding. No, I'm not. I think this was an okay match. George Iceman on this. Yo, Tom Hannafin, if he gets in the ring like Nigel McGuinness, I would understand. Because George Iceman coming high, he's like, why are you here? You think because Ray Walt went to go to the He said, I'm here because you're doing a terrible job. Bro. This was the night of commentary hell for Tom Hannafin. The match itself was an okay hardcore match. It wasn't like Tiffany Stratton versus Ash by Elegance, Barbie's Mayhem House of Hell. That's what I got. This was a Cody Rhodes overbooked mess, and that's okay. I expected that. Once they said it was a no disqualification is Justin Pink, I'm like, all right, okay, something for the girly pops. I'm not mad. You should have played Chaperone for all of that. It was okay. It was all right. I will say, I gotta give this one up to Ash by Elegance. Taking that muscle buster through that table on the outside, you couldn't pay me. There's not enough money that TNA could pay me to take that from Jordynne Grace, because that's already a stiff move that she does. But through a table on the outside that y'all had the nerve to set up with a sheet, I would quit the same day.
Again, just like a Slammiversary, she deserves her flowers. She's doing great stuff. When the match happened, I had friends who were at the show and they said, this was really fun. This was entertaining. Go enjoy it when it airs. Yeah. And it was entertaining. And it was. I didn't necessarily love that Jordynne Grace basically kicked out of everyone's everything. That was a little much for me, but
she was the juggernaut bitch tonight. I did notice that. You wasn't stopping her.
That's the whole thing, is that she's supposed to be unstoppable to build her to whoever's going to take the title from her at I don't know when. It could be Bound for Glory. It could be Final Resolution in December. It could be Hard to Kill in January. I don't know. It's obviously not tomorrow night because she's not putting the title on the line. But whenever it's going to happen, that person's going to be made. Who that is, you and I have talked about it a few times and said that it's Giselle Shaw in our heads. That's still where my brain is. We'll see how that kind of plays out after Emergence and the TV tapings and all that. But other than that, this was just a solid match. If this was Ash's kind of like, I thought her swan song, but at least like her proving ground to like taking her seriously, this and Slammiversary were pretty good indicators that she's come a long way and that she's going to continue to work as hard as she has been.
I agree. I think that those two pay-per-view matches, what you just said, in particular, highlight that there's a role that she has found and she can play that. And that's okay. It's something, know your role. I know my roles. I'm a clown. I get paid to be up here to be a clown. I know I'm not going to give you Excalibur analysis. Everything looks like an arm drag. Tope Suicida to me. I know my lane. This was great. I'm not mad at it. But I agree with you in the sense of let this be it. Maybe give Ash by Elegance, if she's staying. I don't know. I'm not the Scoops guy. That's Sean Ross Sapp and Joel Pearl. But if she's staying, give her somebody else. You know what I mean? And treat it the way you treated Jordynne Grace. Because I can only fault Ash so much before I'm like, but who's booking this? You know what I mean? You got to give us something to sink our teeth into. I personally, and this is going to sound crazy, just hear me out. I personally would like to see something of this serious kind of nature that she has going on with the Savannah Evans, someone who's still in that I can out muscle you, because not Dana Brooke, oh my goodness, sorry girl, Ash by Elegance is pretty muscly herself. She's pretty brawling. She's a bodybuilder. So I would love to see what that would look like, or even against the Havoc, because she did take Havoc out. Maybe there's something there. But if not, I think this and the 6-8 woman tag match, or whatever's happening, transpiring tomorrow, is fine. But I would like to see her do something else. And this is coming from me, who was like, I want to see her do something else.
I think Ash moves on. We've mentioned it on the show. I'll say it again. The story that needs to come around is not only the Rosemary stuff, but also eventually we've got to get back to Havoc, because that was the exit of Havoc, was because Ash by Elegance lost it after that one countdown match, and she hasn't been seen since. And now that Rosemary's back in the fold and she's got a new look, and there's been the interactions between her and Iceman, there needs to be something to get to the end of the Ash by Elegance story with, I guess, Decay, or at least the two members of Decay.
Do you think, okay, maybe I'm putting my conspiracy.
Are you about to Undead Realm?
I am. I want to Undead Realm Ash by Elegance, because I would be sports entertained. I want to see what that would be like. I want to see what that would be. Ooh. I would live. I don't care if it's Cardi. I would live. That's for me. That's specifically for me, Cresta Star. She comes back out as Taya Valkyrie.
Well, she wouldn't be Taya Valkyrie. She'd be someone else.
But what if Taya Valkyrie comes back out and says, it's me, Ash by Elegance? They're like,
doesn't really work that way. She doesn't come back as a different character that's based on someone else.
No, Taya has to actually be there. That's the joke. That's the gimmick. She's not. She's not the kind. Let me have a joke, Joel. God damn.
I don't think it's gonna work. Listen, the thing is, I would love to do the Undead Realm stuff, but I feel like the guy who did that doesn't work there anymore. So I don't know if they want to return to that.
Father James Mitchell.
You can watch him on the other show. The Power Show. Go see him there. Go watch him there. The National Wrestling Alliance.
I don't know why when you said Power, I thought of Agruba Power.
Well, it's better than the other power people think about when they think about the NWA. Face-to-face time. Our main event, I guess. Alexander and Nick Nemeth with Matt Raywell presiding. Go and watch this. My takeaways are, these are two guys just kind of one-upping each other one at a time. Each time one spoke, the other one spoke for about the same amount of time. Each time they spoke, they had about the same things to say, just from the heel or babyface perspective. And each time they spoke, one had to get up and do something, which included flipping the chair around and sitting down, hello fellow kid style. It was fine. It was fine. This is, again,
hello fellow kid style is diabolical, Joel.
Tell me when I'm telling lies. And then all of a sudden, this is again the 99 out of 100 TNA reference that we make. They couldn't find a quiet spot to do this segment when I'm hearing the deconstruction or construction of the ring during the, because behind them are the pushed in bleachers. Okay, like they're filming this on the floor of the venue after hours, maybe after they've struck whatever the set and the ring, but you hear the pipes, you hear the teardown noises, and I'm like, why? I get it. This is such a nitpicky thing for me. I understand that. But if you're trying to put people in the room and it's supposed to be this immersive experience where you're in with the drama, hearing clanging in the background takes me the F away from it so fast. And I'm like, what was that sound?
Joel is not sports entertained in that moment.
Not
Joel is sports frustrated.
I was frustrated because I'm an audio guy, because that's how I take it. And if it's a promo, I need to hear a pin drop. If you're presenting me a scenario in which I should hear a tense moment and a pin drop. And I heard pins, several of them dropping, and they weren't pins. They were large pieces of metal on the floor.
They were pots and pans. Mom and Dad, stop fighting in the back. I'm shooting a short film, Mom.
It's the kitchen concessions. We're making chicken tendies for the crew before they left.
Dom was first in line.
He probably was. They made a Joe Hendry mention, did Josh Alexander. Hendry has a title match for the NXT Championship on Sunday at No Mercy. As I alluded to earlier, typically at a TNA special, one title changes hands. Not many titles are on the line this week. So what do you think of this segment? Nemeth gets the last word. Everybody swears. Everybody turns chairs around, and everybody has their time.
I liked this segment, but this segment was very much like, well, heck you, pal. Pal? I'm not your buddy, pal. I'm not your pal guy. I'm not your guy friend.
And you just know that both of them pitched that because Josh is Canadian and Nick Nemeth is a troll.
That's when he turned the chair around. I'm like, this is unserious. I think, and what we alluded to at the beginning of the show, the way that this needed to be portrayed was kind of like serious business. I'm not around with you, Nick Nemeth. I'm going to mess you up. And it kind of came off like two drunk dude bros, like, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There were some zingers, which I did write down. When Nick Nemeth said, you talk about you were the standard bearer, you did all of that. How come no one knows your name? I was like, that was rude. You know, okay, you Dolph, don't do that, Dolph Ziggler. Okay, don't do that. But that was a line because I was someone who was always like, we need to have Josh Alexander in the greatest champions of all time conversation. People like, who? From Impact? Where? I'm like, don't do that. But that was a zinger. I do agree with Josh Alexander saying, yo, you've been here for 3 months and they roll out the red carpet for you and you just get to go back in the title scene. That's out of order, bro. That's really out of order. Like, he mentions Kurt Angle, he mentions Joe and AJ Styles, and then Josh Alexander says, I'm above all of those guys. I'm the longest reigning champion. I was like, yo, talking shit, Josh Alexander. Like you may not have liked what he said, but he was spitting. Overall, I'm glad they didn't fight. But for me, what took me out of it, because I could see why this would have been the main event. This needed to be delivered that serious. When Josh Alexander turned his chair around and started yelling, I was like, yo, who you yelling at, pal? It was good, though. This was a good visual. I think this was a great way to end it. However, with some tweaks, but the way it was presented, I would have put the wrestling match at the end and this right before it. But with some tweaks, I could see why this would have been the end. I could see, but it kind of became, yo, fuck you, pal. No, pal, buddy. And I kind of began to laugh. And I live because I'm a troll too. So
this is going to be in a 1 hour Iron Man match tomorrow night at Emergence. You want to run through this card real quick? See if we can get some predictions out of this thing. Kushida versus Kazarian, because you got to do that match on the countdown. Do you think Kushida's going to get painted up Hakushi style again, or we're just giving that up?
I think that got Thanos snap from your memory, and I think Kushida wins. That hoverboard lock is going in. F your chicken wing, buddy. I'm sorry. I don't know how to tell you.
I feel like Kazarian's going to walk out with the victory here.
If he cheats.
As Kazarian would typically do.
Yeah, no, okay. I changed my answer. You're right, Kazarian. I changed my answer because she'd have been eating L's too.
Yeah, Kushida's not here to win in TNA anymore.
He's here to wrestle. I'm just here to have fun. I'm goofa gooba.
As long as he's getting paid. PCO takes on Matt Cardona's monster. Who the hell is Matt Cardona's monster? We can't even figure it out, and we just tried.
PCO wins. Whoever it is, it's not going to be someone under contract. PCO wins.
And that's the thing. That's why I like doing the whole like, oh, it's Dijak or it's this person. It's like, well, no, because if it is for the digital media and international heavyweight championships, like it's for those titles. PCO is not going to drop them to Cardona's monster unless Cardona's monster is like
AJ Francis,
which I wouldn't even do that. It feels a little too going back to where we started.
Yeah,
we just
I get that. PCO wins.
PCO wins. Steve Macklin versus Eric Young. I am looking forward to this match for everything we've talked about. There are a lot of multi-man matches on this show, multi-person in the case of the 6-woman tag. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on, but this is a really solid, and I mean solid singles bout that they're putting on. First time ever, Macklin, Eric Young. I feel like, after tonight, I feel like Eric Young might get the win.
I think, first of all, us fans are going to win. We're going to see two pissed off old men just beat the shit out of each other. And yes,
I think Macklin wins. Old by extension.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We're 2 days apart, Macklin and I. Stop it.
I'm old. He's 9,000 years old, okay?
He's in much better shape than I am. And it's I should probably trim my beard. It's very white.
I will say, since Macklin got here, he got gray hairs. This job is stressing him out. PCO is stressing him out. No, I think Macklin wins here. If I'm being honest with you, I think Macklin wins here. And only because I think Eric Young is all about putting the younger talent over. Macklin is on the rise, and no matter who wins from Nemeth or Alexander, you got Mike Santana, and then you could have a Macklin. And this is where we start sowing those Macklin seeds, saying, I won at Emergence. I won at Bound for Glory. This is my turn now. I think it's Macklin. I think it's going to be a stiff match where I'm going to be like, disgusting. But I think it's Macklin here. You
may very well be right. And if there should be more stock in Macklin. Eric Young is Eric Young. He's a TNA stalwart. He's been around forever. He didn't go away for long from TNA. I can see Macklin getting the win. Maybe you're right. I'll give you that. I think the categories too.
It's food time, so I'm gonna just hold her so she don't turn up on me. Go ahead, keep it coming.
Ultimate X, Zachary Wentz, Hammerstone, Mike Bailey, Jason Hotch, Riley Osborne representing NXT, and Laredo Kid is back into it. Ultimate X, who's gonna walk out with the X Division Championship?
Johnny, who do you think? Speedball Mike Bailey. Speedball Mike Bailey. I agree. Johnny's not sports entertained.
Nope, not at all. Thought something was gonna happen there, but nothing happened.
That's not the cat. Bully Ray, the fat one, is the one who does stuff. This cat is.
Bully would have just jumped on your microphone and tried to eat it.
You've been to this show before.
Hosted once or twice in this open mic forum. Speedball is probably going to walk out with that title around his waist again. That's great. I'm expecting a lot of really fun stuff. Hammerstone being the solid big man base in this match. I really hope Riley Osborne gets to show out a little bit because it's NXT, because they're doing the crossover stuff. And I'm a little annoyed that they haven't done much to promote that Osborne is in the match, like done a backstage segment, something just to be like, here he is. He's going to be an Ultimate X, but it is what it is. This is all just a vehicle to get, Speedball's title reign kickstarted.
I hope he doesn't get hit in the nuts by Hotch. That's my hope for that young feller.
Feels inevitable.
Like Ace Austin.
That Laredo Kid mask just going to be like dick, just hitting with dick the whole time.
Dick magnet.
Dick magnet. Audio listeners are very confused as to why my audio is like, what's going on with this? What's he doing with his head? Anyway.
He's headbutting a yam bag.
Yes, I'm air headbutting a yam bag. 8-man tag team war is how they're calling it. The system, all 4 members take on the team of Matt and Jeff Hardy, Joe Hendry, and Mike Santana. Great way to have Joe Hendry just take a night off if he wants to, which is great because he's got a big match on Sunday in Colorado for NXT. I wouldn't be surprised if the system win this, to be honest.
And pin who?
Jeff Hardy.
Nah, I think the system crashed. System error. I think I could use another vignette of just looking around like
dejected system.
I could. Brian Myers does it so well. He just hands in the pocket like, yeah, I got like those 90s sitcoms. Why are you home early from school? Let me see your report card. All F's.
To see them walking on sadly like the Charlie Brown cartoon. Dun, dun, dun,
oh, with the sad music in the background. Dun, 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 dun.
I do think the system wins though, and I think they pin one of the Hardys.
Oof, I think the system loses because they've been on a losing streak. And what a better way to send Moose back into his old I don't need anybody ways with another loss.
That's not a bad shout. Moose could easily be like, no, forget these guys. But they just added JDC. Like he's part of this thing.
I didn't mean to shrug my shoulders like that. Allow me
to do whatever you want.
Let me shrug my shoulders again. I mean, I don't think JDC being there or just added isn't going to be of any consequence. If anything, it breaks up the system where it's JDC and Moose versus Myers and Edwards because y'all lost the tag titles first. Y'all are some losers. JDC gets results, and it puts Lish in an awkward spot because that's her man, but she's the only one with a belt. So,
will she use that belt in the match? The 6-woman knockout tag team clash. Jordynne Grace and Spitfire take on the team of Ash by Elegance and Masha Lisha, who are the Knockouts tag team champions. And of course, Jordynne Grace is the Knockouts champion. What if JDC pins Matt Hardy? Because Matt Hardy's had his number.
Heresy. Matt Hardy don't deserve that.
What does Matt Hardy really deserve? He's got a great podcast. Great.
Listen, y'all can't make me hate Matt Hardy. I love Matt Hardy. I love Rebby Hardy. Adopt me.
They have enough kids. I don't know if they need another.
Nah, it'll be fun. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if JDC pins Matt Hardy, and that's it. Anyway, Jordynne Grace and Spitfire versus Masha Lisha and Ash by Elegance.
Ash is taking that pin. So sorry, I forced that pun.
And Spitfire, I feel like Spitfire, one of them are going to pin one of the tag champs so they can get. I don't think Ash is going to eat the pin. I think it'll be it'll be Lish getting pinned by Jody Threat or something.
Danny Luna.
I like Danny.
I like Danny Luna too. I want to see Danny Luna and Jordynne Grace wrestle again because those women
beat the shit out of each other.
I still think about that.
It was a very good match. We got to talk about that one. It was good stuff.
I just want that match again. Just let them fight.
And in our main event, a 1 hour Iron Man match. Get yourselves ready for this. TNA World Championship. Nick Nemeth defends against Josh Alexander. I'm going to say it. I think Josh wins. I think Josh Alexander wins, and I think he does it a little underhandedly, but he gets his point across that he is the man, he is the champ, and Nick Nemeth has a shocking, quick title reign.
I hate to agree with you only because Josh Alexander's a jerk right now, but I agree 100%. And okay, with Josh Alexander being heel and Ethan Page being heel, I'm back with my North hat on. My North hat is back on. I don't care. I can see Ethan Page just for the memes going. For the memes. My hat is back on. I don't care if it's real or not. I don't care. It's back on. They're on the same page, okay?
I'm telling you.
I feel bad for Nick Nemeth a little bit though. Like, I wish you would. I don't know. That's me putting the chicken before the horse or whatever the saying is. I think Nick Nemeth is going to give us a great match, but I think Josh Alexander is going to do a few things, including the sexy Kurt make your ankles hurt.
We're going to find out. TNA Emergence is tomorrow night, Friday night. We're going to be here live after the show to talk about it, break it down, go move by move for that 1 hour Iron Man match. We're just going to talk about no, we're not. We're going to have a fun post show. We're going to talk about all the matches. Listen, there are a lot of people on this card in like 3 of the matches alone. In 3 of the matches alone, you've got, what's 12 plus 8? Is anyone good at math here? Is that 20? 20 people are in 3 of the matches.
That's a Royal Rumble. That's 10 away from a Royal Rumble.
That's a 1992 Royal Rumble right there.
Not the specific.
The Rumble was 20 men for a little while, but anyway, it's a sold out show. Looking forward to it. If you're going to be there live, hope you have a great time. If you're not, or maybe you are and you just want to watch a post show, go check this out. And of course, drop a thumbs up on the video while you're here, and you can drop a comment. Give us your thoughts. Maybe you got some predictions for the show. Put them in the comments. Why won't you? Cresta Star, what you got going on?
Ladies and gentlemen, I will be here tomorrow going over Emergence with our good friend, our pal, Joe Pearl, everyone's favorite Pearl, the Pearl of the wrestling, Joe Pearl. Saturday, I will be here for Collision. I think it'll be myself and Rick or some combination of that. And then every Wednesdays, you can catch me over on Twitch or TikTok at Cresta Star, where we watch wrestling together, just a couple of yappers. If that is too much for you to handle, X, Twitter, Cresta the Star, like Megan the Stallion. There's a link tree in my bio that also has a playlist of all of our post shows, all of my Collision post shows. Wow, cool, wow. Cresta Star. Anywhere you can type your fingies. Joel Pearl, where can they find you?
I am a very easy individual to find. I am at Joel Pearl, JOELPEARL, all over socials. Some of my stuff's locked down right now. Okay, just be cool. That's all I'm asking. Okay, my Instagram's not so. Don't tell anyone. In the weeds every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern until noon. Maybe tomorrow we'll drop the interview that we did. Jeremy and I got to interview Mike Rallis, the former Madcap Moss, and Tennille Dashwood, a former Knockouts Tag Team Champion in her own right? She's wonderful. We got to sit down and chat with them for about a half hour today. So we're going to drop that probably on tomorrow's episode of In the Weeds, along with a lot of conversation about Emergence, Bash in Berlin. What else is running? Everything's running. tomorrow.
Yeah,
But
there's so many things.
New Japan's running a show tomorrow. They got Capital Collision, not tomorrow, but over the weekend. Capital Collision, No Mercy's happening. It's a busy weekend, so we're going to get you set up for that. But on the TNA front, like Cresta said, we're back here tomorrow night, so we'll see you then. For Cresta Star, I am Joel Pearl, JOELPEARL. Ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, we'll see you in the next one.